What if I told you that right now, today, 45% of Americans could not pay a single $1,000 emergency without going into debt? One car repair, one medical bill, one broken appliance, and for nearly half of this country. That's it. That's all it takes to start a financial spiral. But here's what's really crazy. People already know what they're supposed to do. Build an emergency fund. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses. Put something away. The advice is everywhere. Yet the Federal Reserve says only 55% of American adults have actually done it. And 30%? A full third of adults could not cover 3 months of expenses no matter what. Not by selling stuff, not by borrowing, nothing. So it's not that people don't know the advice. Something else is going on. And by the end of this video, you will understand what no one else is telling you about cash, and it will change how you think about money forever. Okay, so we've all heard the emergency fund speech, right? Save money in case something goes wrong. Classic advice. And yes, it's true. But what nobody explains, what I want to break down for you today, is that cash sitting in a bank account does something way more powerful than just protecting you from disasters. It fundamentally changes how you think, how you negotiate, how you make decisions across every single area of your life. Not just your finances, your career, your relationships, your health decisions, everything. Let me tell you about a study from Princeton and Harvard. Researchers studied what happens to the human brain under financial stress, and what they found was disturbing. My financial anxiety doesn't just make you feel bad, it literally reduces your cognitive capacity. When your brain is consumed with, "Can I pay rent this month?" and "Which bill can I delay?" you have measurably less mental bandwidth for everything else. The researchers called it tunneling. Your focus narrows to the problem right in front of you, and everything outside that tunnel disappears. The promotion you should be going after, the health check you should book, the investment you should be making, gone. Your brain is too busy trying to survive the month. And I want to be clear, this is not weakness. This is not a lack of willpower or discipline. This is a documented, measurable effect of financial pressure on the human brain. You are not the problem. The scarcity is now. Well, imagine you have 6 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account earning 4% interest. You know exactly where it is. You know you could access it in days. That knowledge doesn't disappear when you walk into a salary negotiation. It doesn't disappear when your boss gives you an ultimatum. It sits in the background like a silent force, giving you clarity, giving you patience, giving you power. Cash removes the constant background noise of financial anxiety. It frees your brain for strategic thinking, for long-term planning, for creative problem solving. It lets you operate from security, not desperation. And that changes everything. Let's talk about work, because this is where the power of cash becomes very personal, very fast. The average duration of unemployment in the United States right now is 23 weeks, nearly 6 months. And that's the average. If you're in a specialized field in your 50s or switching industries, it takes longer. Without cash reserves, this reality creates what I call invisible chains. You stay in a toxic job because you can't afford the gap between paychecks. You tolerate a manager who humiliates you because the alternative feels too risky. You accept below-market pay because job searching without income terrifies you more than being underpaid. Let me paint you a picture. 2 people, same company, same role, same skills, same everything. Annual review comes around. Both ask for a raise. Alex has 8 months of expenses saved. Alex can afford to be patient. Alex pushes back on the initial offer, cites market rates, asks for a follow-up meeting. And if the company says no, Aunt Alex starts job searching. Without panic, waiting for the right opportunity. Blake is living paycheck to paycheck. Every negotiation carries the weight of potential disaster. Pushing too hard feels dangerous. The ask gets smaller. The acceptance comes faster. The settling happens, almost automatically. Same skills, same experience, same work ethic. But over a 10-year career, the difference in cumulative earnings between those two people could easily reach 6 figures. 6 figures. Because of a savings buffer. When you know you could survive 6 months without income, every conversation with your employer changes. You push back on unreasonable demands because losing this particular job wouldn't destroy you. You speak up in meetings. You propose bold ideas. You disagree when you're right. You might never actually need to quit. The point is that you could, and that knowledge radiates through everything you do. That's real leverage. And it starts with cash. Okay, now let's talk about something that blew my mind when I first learned it. Researchers at UC San Diego analyzed millions of home transactions and found this. All cash home buyers pay an average of 10% less than buyers who need mortgage financing. In 2025, that discount hit 9% across the broader market. The median American home is about $410,000. A 9% cash discount? That's nearly $37,000 in savings. Not a coupon, not a special deal, just having the cash. Why do sellers accept less? Because cash means certainty and speed. Mortgage deals fall through 5 to 6% of the time. Appraisal issues, financing collapses, insurance problems. Every failure sends the seller back to square one. Cash eliminates all of that. Sellers who've already bought their next home, who are bleeding money on carrying costs, they'll accept less to be done. And this principle extends far beyond homes. When your car breaks down and you need a replacement, cash gives you options. You can buy from a private seller for a better price. You can walk away from a bad dealer deal. You're not desperate for whatever terms someone throws at you. When you're renting an apartment, landlords notice when someone can pay several months up front. When you hire contractors, cash payments sometimes unlock discounts they don't advertise. When you're negotiating with any creditor, your position improves dramatically when you're not borrowing from them. Cash is leverage. And leverage doesn't just appear in one big moment. It compounds across hundreds of small interactions throughout your life. Every transaction, every conversation, every decision where money is on the line. But here's something almost nobody talks about. People without cash don't just miss out on discounts. They actually pay more for the exact same things you and I buy. Economists have a name for it: the poverty premium. It's a hidden tax on financial instability. And it makes everything more expensive for the people who can least afford it. Let me show you exactly how it works. You can't buy in bulk when things go on sale because you don't have the cash for the larger upfront purchase. So you buy the small pack, week after week, and you pay more per unit every single time. You can't pay annual insurance premiums, even though they typically offer 5 to 15% discounts over paying monthly, so you pay the higher monthly rate. That's effectively a fee for not having cash available. You can't maintain your car proactively, so you skip the small fix. And then the small fix becomes a catastrophic repair at emergency prices. The tire that could have been replaced for $120 turns into a $900 tow and emergency repair situation. You can't shop around because time pressure dominates every purchase. You need it now. Can't wait for a sale. Can't compare vendors. Can't take advantage of employer benefits that require upfront investment, like contributing enough to get your full 401k match. Those guaranteed returns just sit there, unclaimed. Whereas add all of this up, and the annual cost of being broke can easily reach thousands of dollars. Not because of any single big expense, but because of 1,000 small ones. The less money you have, the more you pay for the same goods and services. That is the poverty premium. But cash reserves, They eliminate the poverty premium entirely. When you have money available, you can optimize every purchase for value, not urgency. Your emergency fund doesn't just protect against disasters, it stops the daily bleeding that most people don't even realize is happening. Congratulations for making it this far. Seriously, you're already ahead of 90% of people who clicked away. Before we continue, if this is hitting home for you, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment below, telling me your biggest money challenge right now. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss another video. Okay, let's keep going because the best part is still coming. Here's an angle that almost never gets mentioned. Cash isn't just protection against bad things. It's the ability to capture good things when they appear. The stock market drops 30%, like we saw in March 2020. Everyone with cash is buying at historic discounts. If you have nothing to deploy, you watch. 2 years later, the market recovers. Those buyers locked in massive gains. You watched it happen. A friend offers you a chance to invest in their business at favorable terms. The opportunity is real. The numbers make sense, but you have no capital available, and the moment passes. A piece of real estate comes available below market value because the seller needs to close fast. You can't move. Someone who could, does. These moments happen throughout life. Most people experience them as frustrations, things they wish they could do but can't. People with cash reserves experience them as options, things they can choose to pursue based on actual merit, not financial constraint. Over a lifetime, the difference between missing these windows and capturing them creates an enormous gap in outcomes. And it doesn't come from being smarter or luckier. It comes from having cash available when the moment arrives. Here's the part that goes deepest. Cash doesn't just change how you negotiate. It changes the quality of your most important life decisions, including ones where no one is sitting across the table from you. Should you go back to school? Without cash, the upfront cost looms larger than it really is. The period of reduced income feels more threatening than it really is. Your brain can't process the long-term gain because it's too busy managing short-term fear. Should you move to a city with better opportunities? The logistics become paralyzing when you can't afford the gap between ending your old life and starting your new one. In every case, the right decision gets clouded by financial fear. And those distorted decisions compound. 5 years later, you're behind. In income, in health, in career, in life. And you can trace it back to moment after moment where fear drove the wheel instead of clarity. Our cash removes the fear from the equation. It lets you evaluate decisions based on what's actually right, not what's cheapest in the next 30 days. Okay, enough with the why. Let's talk about the how. Because this is simpler than most people think. Step 1. Set a specific target. Calculate your actual monthly expenses. Rent, utilities, food, transport, insurance, minimum debt payments. Multiply by 3. That's your first goal. 6 months comes later. Start with 3. Step 2. Automate it. Set up a recurring transfer from your checking account to savings on the same day your paycheck hits. $200 a month becomes $2,400 a year. $500 a month becomes $6,000. The amount matters less than the consistency because you're making it automatic. Step 3. Put it somewhere it grows. High-yield savings accounts currently offer around 4 to 5% APY. That's more than 10 times the national average. On $20,000, that's $800 to $1,000 in interest per year. The money is still liquid, still accessible, still FDIC insured. You're just getting paid to hold it. Step 4. Add slight friction. Keep your emergency fund at a separate bank with no linked debit card. When you want the money, you can get it. but you have to initiate a transfer and wait a day or two. That delay stops most impulsive withdrawals before they happen. Think of it in 3 stages. Stage 1. Build $1,000 to $2,000 in accessible cash. This alone stops the cycle of credit card emergencies, overdraft fees, and payday loans. For nearly half of Americans, reaching this level would already be a major improvement. Stage 2. Grow it to 3 months of expenses. A job loss becomes stressful instead of catastrophic. A medical emergency becomes manageable instead of ruinous. You've bought yourself time. Stage 3. 6 months or more. This is where the psychology truly shifts. You stop operating from scarcity. You start operating from choice. And that shift? That is worth more than any emergency the fund might ever cover. I want to leave you with this. The cost of not having cash is rarely one dramatic disaster. More often, it's an accumulation of compromises. Staying at the job that underpays you, accepting the first offer instead of negotiating, skipping the medical checkup because the copay feels like too much, putting the emergency on a credit card and paying 22% interest for years. Each compromise feels small. Together, they build a trajectory, and 5 years from now, you'll feel the distance, without being able to point at one single moment that caused it. But cash reserves break that pattern. They give you the space to make decisions based on what's actually right, not what's cheapest right now. They let you invest in yourself, negotiate with confidence, take calculated risks, and recover gracefully when life throws something at you. The emergency fund is not just protection against catastrophe. It is permission to live strategically instead of defensively. I'm Tara, and if today's video gave you even one thing to think differently about, that's what I'm here for. Now let's go build something. If this hit home for you, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. It might be the most important financial video you send them this year. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. Every week I break down money, mindset, and the strategies that actually move the needle. I'll see you in the next one.